Today I want to talk about why firefighting is not a leadership problem. Most organisations believe they have leadership problems. You can see this where there's too much firefighting, too many escalations and too many decisions landing at the top. So the instinctive response is predictable. We assume we need more meetings, more visibility, more oversight, more alignment, and sometimes more leadership training. But firefighting is rarely a failure in leadership. It's almost always a system signal. When leaders are more constantly pulled into the day-to-day issues, it's not because they want control. It's because the system cannot hold itself together without intervention. And that distinction matters. In a leadership system, leadership is mostly indirect. Leaders shape structure, priorities and flow, make decision boundaries. Leaders don't need to be present for every issue. The system absorbs variation. In an unstable system, the opposite happens. Every small deviation becomes a problem. Every delay escalates. Every ambiguity requires judgment. And that judgment flows upwards. Not because people are incapable, but because the system has no clear rules for handling pressure. Firefighting emerges when ownership is unclear, handoffs are informal and capacity is stretched. Priorities compete, normal is undefined. In those conditions, the safest option is escalation. People don't escalate because they lack confidence, they escalate because the system gives them no safe place to decide. Leadership becomes a shock absorber. Every issue lands there. Over time, leaders conclude we're too involved. But involvement is not the cause, it's the symptom. Firefighting feels like a people issue because it manifests through people. But its root is structural. If a system requires constant leadership attention to function, it's not robust. It's fragile, and fragility does not improve with more effort. It improves with clarity. Clarity of what decision can be made locally, what normal looks like, what to do when work doesn't flow, what must be escalated and what must not. When those boundaries are missing, leaders become the process. It's exhausting. It also prevents improvement, because leaders who are firefighting cannot step back, observe patterns, see drift, redesign structure. They're trapped in response mode. Many organisations try and solve this by empowering people, but empowerment without structure is just risk transfer. You are asking people to decide in a system that cannot support their decisions. That increases anxiety, not capability. The real shift happens when the system itself becomes more predictable. When flow is visible, load is understood, work weights are exposed, decisions are bounded, escalation is designed, not accidental. Then firefighting reduces naturally. Not because leaders change, but because the system stops leaking pressure upwards. So if you see constant firefighting in your organisation, don't ask how do we get leaders out of the detail. Ask what pressure is the system failing to absorb. That question changes the work. Because firefighting is not a leadership flaw, it's a diagnostic signal. And until you treat it as such, no amount of effort will remove it.